All right, I hope we're live. That's good. Well, you are the stalwarts. You are the inner crowd of my 75 people, and you get the upside. So we've got I've got Tegan and Guy Turner here today. Tegan's doing a PhD with us. Guy Turner is a much distinguished Adelaide businessman. He can introduce himself, but certainly Guy's been very involved in content production and branding, and so without giving too much away, I will, if I get time, and I don't really care that much if I don't, but if I get time, I'll do some of the course content on experiential branding, which is pretty good stuff. Well, we've got someone who's doing a PhD in experiential branding anyway. And Guy plans to talk to you about a whole bunch of things, but in particular, this setting yourself aside as a personal brand when it comes time to graduate and get yourself out in the system. So to my 75 students who are listening to us on my media, and to my stalwarts, my newest personal best friends, I'll introduce you to Guy.
Thank you. 4:15 on a Tuesday afternoon. Not bad for those who rocked up. Look, let me introduce myself. My name's Guy Turner. I am the Digital Sales and Integration Manager at The Advertiser and represent News Digital Media here in South Australia. However, I don't really want to talk about that. You guys by now should have a pretty good handle on how digital media is changing our lives, what place it plays in how you approach things, in your purchase cycles, in almost everything that goes on. So I've got a bit more interest in talking to you about you guys, talking to you about what the commercial world looks for when they look at people coming out of university, talk a bit about how you can set yourself apart, and whatever else I might have put in these slides. So, very quick background on myself. I graduated from Flinders Law School going back about 10 years now. I fell into media somewhat by default. I had gone and pursued a couple of different career directions and managed to... both my parents worked in media, and I saw that it was a pretty good life. You got to sit in corporate boxes and entertain and smooth. So I tried to fall into it. I went and worked for a media buying and planning house here. Now, media buying and planning is not one of the more interesting areas of media necessarily. Lots of schedules, lots of spreadsheets, and lots of pressure when anything goes wrong, because undoubtedly it's your mistake because you missed a little box somewhere. So I fell into it there, and well, the first things they did was you're the youngest, so you're in charge of digital. And that's pretty much how it worked back in those days, i.e. 2005. So things changed so quickly, and I was doing a talk to some Year 10 students the other day, and I said, and it was about careers, and I said, I'm not quite sure why I'm talking to you, because half the people in this room, your career hasn't even been thought of yet, let alone actually have a pathway through to it. So that one was more about open ideas. You guys are at a much pointier end of things. But I fell into digital, and through that I found myself in the Advertiser, where I was looking after one site called Adelaide Now. 4.5 years on, I'm looking after 36 sites, 4 apps, paid content strategy, and all sorts of different diverse bits and pieces. And what you will find if you follow through with any form of brand management, marketing, sales, media, that where you are will take you almost daily on different directions. We change product on literally a monthly basis, and that's one of the great excitements of it. So that's my background. That's probably part of my life and part of what takes up my time. And as we go, I'll tell you a bit more about some of the other things. But Look, on to career. It was fairly easy for me, having fallen into you're the youngest, so you're doing digital, to then go to the advertiser and say, well, I'm only one of 3 people that knows anything about digital in Adelaide, so you better hire me. Very different now. You are one of 75 in this class alone, probably 400 across about your age here in South Australia that have anything to do with brand, marketing, digital, etc. And very much like I found myself when I was at law school, looking alongside of me to each side and going, yeah, you're my friends, but we're all going to be trying to get the same job at the end of it. You guys are very much in the same position here. So, I mean, what I'll tell you today is what I as an employer look for. It's some of the tricks and tools that HR departments will ensure that they're looking at when they're considering. But more to it, I mean, it goes a lot further than finding a job you like on Seek and applying for it. There's so much more you can do. And you won't be all on even footing once I finish talking here, because some of you will go and do it, some of you won't go and do it. And really, the last 2 years have shown us that if you're persistent about your own brand, you can make an incredible impact before you even hit the workforce, if you're authentic about it. Okay, so I've kept calling this, I'll see if that stays to my tie. There we go. I've kept calling this how to get a job in digital media. It goes a little further than that. It's probably how to get a job in most areas these days that involve engagement, branding, advertising, etc. Hopefully you all know who Stephen Yarwood is. You are currently sitting on his stomping grounds as the Mayor of Adelaide. Stephen and I first became friends about 18 to 20 months ago, and we did so through my fiancée, who's also a social media guru, who they engaged through Twitter, and Stephen said, look, I'm thinking about running for Lord Mayor, and we laughed. He was a civic planner, he'd spent some time bicycling around Denmark, and he just didn't fit any of the profiles that were going to work, and he was up against some pretty heavy hitters at the time who had much, much deeper pockets than he did. So what Stephen did was he worked out that there were ways that he could engage people that no one else was doing at the time. And he did it very cleverly, very authentically, and he did it by asking a whole lot of questions. What do you want in your Lord Mayor? What would you like fixed in Adelaide? What would make you vote is probably the biggest one, because it was a case of some of the others were running around through the minorities, working out that, hey, there's a whole lot of students that don't know about this voting, how about we con them into voting? There were all sorts of bits and pieces going on. All he decided to do was put it out there and said, why would you vote? What do you want? And how can I help give it to you? And he used that well. He was one of the first people to use Foursquare, so he got into the geolocationals. He was inviting people to his rallies to tell other people about it through Twitter, so he'd get tweet ups going. All of this is just so normal day for us now, 12 months on, but 18 months ago this was quite revolutionary. And it was really cutting edge, and what it did, it empowered and enfranchised the people who were early adopters of this and allowed them to use his message to build some of their own networks. So those who jumped on his coattails had an interest in driving him for some of their own purpose. I think why Stephen's a really good place to start this, about starting conversations, was that he did it authentically, but he put himself out there and he had absolutely no fear about saying what he wanted. What does he want? He wanted to be Lord Mayor of Adelaide. If you guys want a particular job in a particular area specifically, if you're out there making conversations, asking questions authentically, saying, hey, look, I'm really interested in pursuing this career path, what things should I be doing, who should I be talking to, etc. These people will come to you, or people will help you find them. It's never been easier to do this. the likelihood of being able to have contact with the CEO of a major company, with the Lord Mayor, with any of these people in real life, you pay $200 to sit next to him at a charity dinner and hope, versus do it through social media, especially through Twitter. As you well and truly know, Twitter plays the business-to-business role. I've got LinkedIn up here as well, because LinkedIn is beginning to now evolve into a place where you can share groups, circles, etc. And it still is the raw hard currency for recruiters, HR, etc. If you haven't got your LinkedIn right, go and work for a non-digitally savvy firm somewhere, possibly producing petro products or something like that. So obviously all of them were at Stephen's disposal, but he used that to drive a brand, and he used it to do so with great success, and he hasn't stopped. And that's the other thing. If you get what you want and stop, people know you were just trying to get what you want, and if you ever have to ask again, they'll have long memories. All right.